skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, performance enhancement expert, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 63 countries, such as the United States, Costa Rica, Canada, Panama, and New Zealand. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformations. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that has changed our lives and how we use this to help transform others and elevate their lives as well. Now, you can listen to us live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can also join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio Community. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, and the Google Play Music app. I love reading the comments about the guests that we have on and what you all think of the show. Because on the show are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, and other amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you're catching us live, this is a live show, so if you have any questions for myself or my guest, you can call in 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. So please help me welcome to the show, Belkis Clarke-Mitcham. Hopefully I said that right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And yeah, you've got it right. And I was thinking that now you'll be able to add the rest of the Caribbean region to your listening audience.
That's awesome. So where are you right now?
Well, at the moment, actually, I'm in Corpus Christi, but I hail from the Caribbean. I was born on a tiny island called St. Kitts, grew up on another tiny island, an even smaller island called St. Martin, and have lived in several of the Caribbean territories since then.
Love it. I've never been down there, but that is definitely on my bucket list. I definitely want to get down there.
You got to, trust me, you got to get there. It's an experience all by itself.
Perfect. So I'm so happy to be on the show. We connected at an event just last week called New Media Summit in Austin, Texas, and I was absolutely blown away at your story. And so I cannot wait to share with my listeners your story of transformation and how you're using your story to elevate the lives around you. It is an incredible story, and I can't wait to dive in.
Oh, definitely. I am so happy to be able to speak to you, your audience, and thank you so much for having me here on your show. And this is what I do. If there's one person that I can inspire, motivate, or teach something, then I can rest easy.
Oh, I love the mission. I love it. So let's dive in. The title of this episode is From Attempted Suicide to Success with Belkis Clarke-Mitcham. She is a motivational teacher and transformational life coach who helps women over 25 who have lived through trauma to identify their prisons, break free, and unleash their unique light. A survivor of sexual abuse, Belkis has risen from a place of attempted suicide to success, For more than a decade, she has been captivating, inspiring, motivating, and teaching audiences across the globe, including survivors of sexual abuse and trauma, how to uncover their truth, identify their innate value, and map their purpose as they journey to legendary transformation. She holds a bachelor's in English and a minor in communication and an MA in human communication. Belkis worked as a journalist for over 12 years and has taught at every level, from preschool to university. That is impressive. Covering mostly human interest stories and spending 1/4 of class time motivating students, she has recognized what her life's calling was: coaching. She made the switch to her life's purpose, doing what she was most passionate about, and she has spent more than a decade coaching suicidal and depressed teens and adults, has co-authored Tying the Knot Between Ministry and the Marketplace, Volume 2, and is an ambassador for Mission 22. Her writing has been featured on international Red Cross websites, local media in the Dutch Antilles, which I believe that is correct, how you say that, Dutch Antilles.
Yeah.
And Thrive Global has been on several podcasts as she's making an impact, the Pitch Tank, and the Authentic Courage series, among others. She is the co-author of the anthology Tying the Knot Between Ministry and the Marketplace, Volume 2, The Ultimate Caribbean Girl. Contact her at her website, www.belkis, B-E-L-K-I-S, Clarke, C-L-A-R-K-E.com. So after reading that, I got chills reading about Mission 22 and everything that you're doing. I have to ask you, why do you do all this? What is your deep why for what you do?
Growing up in the Caribbean, and since then I've learned that a lot of persons who have been abused, whether it be sexual abuse, domestic violence, emotional, whatever type of abuse that you've been through trauma, a lot of the time we spend our time in hiding, and as a result, the essence of who we are, it's as if it withers away. And I found that to be a travesty, because I do believe that each of us bring a special spark to our environment. We create energy waves, and we create a movement around us in our sphere that nobody else can replicate. And when we aren't allowed to stand in the truth of that, I think that the people we encounter, the people who are in our lives, that they miss something simply because we were not functioning in our truth, in our, the way that we are supposed to. And one of the things that drove me is that no one should have to suffer that. I remember what it was like, feeling as if I was invisible, hurting and not knowing how to find the words, or not even knowing how to take a first step forward to get from the trauma, to get from the pain and the hurt to a place where there was even a little bit of hope. And I know the dark despair that it is when you just want to literally slit yourself from your throat down to, and hope that the pain will flow out. And it moves me to know that people have to know that they do not have to live that way, that your experience does not define you, and it should not destroy you, because trauma, hurt, bad experiences did not create the essence, the truth of who you are, and therefore it cannot destroy the truth of who you are. And I figure if people just knew, if they just had a glimmer of hope of what is possible within themselves after trauma, after pain, after what they've been through, if they just had hope that the inner man can be restored, it can be healed, and they can then move into purpose. Not purpose for myself, but they can then continue on to help somebody else. And before you know it, what we have is a chain reaction of concern and care and human kindness and dedication to the restoration of the human inner man, and hope just moving across. So I figure it got to start with somebody, and there are others who are doing it, and before you know it, we will have an explosion of restoration all across the globe if we could just get one person to help another person and another person. And that got me going. That, and to let my Caribbean people know what is possible, because a lot of the times we've got skills that it seems as if it doesn't fall in the traditional sense, because I was told that I was very quiet, but when I did talk, they were like, oh, you talk so much. And now I needed them to. One of my cousins told me the other day, she was like, oh, look at what your talking has done for you. So I also teach people purpose, which means you can tap into what is innate to you. And even when it is unusual in your environment, that's okay. How you can negotiate that to become your awesome self. So these are those things are why.
You know, growing up, people always like, man, you talk too much. Like, geez, be quiet, whatever. And now I'm like, hey, guess what? I just got paid $5,000 to talk. Exactly. Right?
Yeah, you know.
So it's just it's funny how things work out, right?
That's right. But we got to be able to.
I love what you're saying, though. Yeah, I love what you're saying. There's a lot of passion. I can feel it. There's a lot of passion in there. And I believe that you're on a very, very amazing mission. And I love everything that you're talking about. So, I resonate with it, and I believe in your mission. So.
Thank you so much. That's where it begins, with people who believe and can grasp what it is that you know, I've been told I'm an idealist, that, the ideas that you got, these are just fantasy, but I have seen these fantasies become reality in people's lives when you can hold their hands when they're in the darkness and help them to their place of light and then see transformation happen. When somebody who was a suicidal teen calls me the other day and say, I'm graduating with my master's, there's no dollar value to that. That is like awesome. Because who knows what else they may go on to do and what kind of waves they might create wherever they go that might impact others for the good, So, I love what I do, and I love when people can connect and get it, because, I'm passionate about what I do.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely, I feel it. I can feel the passion. And so there's a level of authenticity and living a genuine life that, people gather around that, they fill in, they're like, yes, like I want to fill in the gaps where you are, that maybe you need help here, or you need help here, or, whatever, like, oh man, yeah, absolutely. So I don't think that everything happens by circumstance. I don't think that everything happens just by coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. So you've given us that, but go back. What was that transformational moment that made you decide that this is what I have to do in life? What is the transformational moment in your life that put you on the path to what you're doing today?
I was sitting outside at 9 o'clock at night. I will never forget this. Caribbean night, a beautiful night actually, clear skies, and I'm sitting there. And I was depressed. I was married to a guy who had me sleep in the car, dragged me across the floor by my hair, tossed me against the wall. And I was sitting outside, and I needed escape. I needed escape so badly. I was tired. I was tired of the brokenness. I was tired of the hurt. And I remember sitting there looking up at the sky and just wishing somehow that I could just disappear in the darkness. And as I sat there, in tears, I remember thinking again about, maybe I should just slit my wrist right here, right now, and be done with it. I had attempted suicide before, and for some reason it just never worked. And I sat there thinking maybe now could be one more time. And maybe now it will come to an end, and I could just float away with the stars and be no more and feel no more. And as I sat there, it's as if I could hear in my mind, but it wasn't an audible voice. It was just more a thought that floated in and took root that said, if Jesus died for others. Why are you going to kill yourself for somebody? He already did that. So your death will not mean anything in terms of helping anybody. And then the thought started to spiral. What is it you want? And I said, to get out of the hurt. Then came the question, why? I was like,
right.
And I'm thinking, why am I questioning myself? But it wasn't just, it's as if I don't know where the questions were coming from. It's a moment of clarity that I had. And I'm sitting there going like, what do you mean why? Who wants to live in pain? And then it said, no, why? And then I said, for others, no. That was my transformational moment. It was a question that came that said, Jesus died for others. You don't need to. So therefore you ought to live. What do you want? To not hurt. Why don't you want to hurt? Well, nobody should live in hurt. Yeah, but why? So that others will also know they don't have to live in hurt. So others will know that there is a purpose. And when I started to talk about purpose, then came the question, what is your purpose? And that is where I started off on a journey. That has just been phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no, I absolutely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
so
agree.
Amazing. But a lot of that came, with experiences, and it kind of all came together in that moment.
Right. And it's amazing, these moments of clarity that we have and go, oh, right? Like everything's happening around us, right? Everything's happening around us. We're like, oh, I don't know. And it's like, and then all of a sudden we had this moment that like jerks us awake. You're like, oh.
And even the quietest person will feel the fire when their purpose is ignited, when that clarity hits.
Yep.
Even the quietest person, Sean, will feel that fire. There is a tingling, and it scares the living bejesus out of you half of the time. But you so want to do it so badly. But a lot of us don't, simply because we are so scared of going against societal norms lest we be rejected. And so we hide the truth of who we are because we are conditioned to think that this truth is not good enough, that this truth ain't really the truth because maybe it's not lining up with everybody or everything or what the norms are. But I remember a young lady told me that my perspective is normal. And I asked her, what is normal? And I said it was normal words that I use to get a suicidal victim to not commit suicide in the moment that they were. I said it were normal words that I used to tell a young lady and coach her through the process of how to go from where she felt hopeless to when she got up, called me in tears to say, I woke up this morning and I was happy to be alive, and now I know what hope is. It were normal words that I used when the young man had just after years of being committed into a relationship and then just left for someone else and was broken and did not know how to put one foot in front of the other. It was normal words, Sean, that I told him that got him from there to the place that he just proclaims all over wherever I go, y'all need to talk to Belkis. People do not understand that it is normal elements that we use, but our essence intertwines it into a very normal world, into normal situations that makes it extraordinary because we've got a fingerprint on our destiny that when it comes into contact and it aligns, that the normal goes to abnormal and the ordinary don't just go to extraordinary, it becomes legendary.
Preach! Like, man, that was amazing.
Yes, Martin Luther King used normal words to start a movement.
Right.
People don't get it. So I take my normal perspective any day because it does extraordinary things for people that I meet.
Love it. I love that. That's amazing. I'm a little bit of chills. I'm like, get it, girl. But somebody needs to hear this. The one thing I've learned is that you never know who needs to hear your message, and you never know who needs to hear exactly what you have to say.
That's right.
You never
and that's
know.
one of the reasons why I stopped hiding, because I was like, for a long time, even though I was helping others, I still live under this shadow of shame, that, people going to know your story, people are going to have this to say, people are going to have that. And people said whether or not I told my story. And I was like, we're going to tell the story. We're going to tell people what it is they need to know, because people will say no matter what. And it is a freedom when I could just be.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very, very true. So
you do. Go ahead.
So how are you using all of that, right? How are you using that to elevate and transform lives today?
Well, I have volunteered at shelters for abused individuals, talk to them. And so this is outside of business, because my business is dedicated. But I also am an ambassador for Mission 22, which is, really something that I'm passionate about, because the statistics are just appalling, and it doesn't have to be, So I volunteer. There's my business aspect of it, which is dedicated to working with people through their trauma, through their hurt, through their confusion, and the disconnectedness that they tend to feel. And then there's the voluntary work where I do. I'm an ambassador for Mission 22, volunteer at shelters, and give my service, back to the community, to make sure that persons know that your experience did not create you. So it does not get to determine the value that there is in you. And so and Mission 22 actually is for the veterans. What we do is we go to events and we hold events, and we create awareness that the statistics say that about 22 veterans commit suicide every day. And the objective of Mission 22 is to reduce that number. Because after persons have served their country, gone out and done their duty, they do not deserve. It is suffering enough, suffering to leave, suffering to enter into a war zone. That is suffering all by itself. To then have to come back home where it should be familiar and safe and still be suffering, now that is a travesty. And so the numbers need to go down.
Right.
So that is how I go about it. I talk to people. I help with the mission to let people know where their hope lies, what they can do, that there is something that can be done, and that our societies will know we are still our brother's keeper. So that's what I do with to help the cause, to help individuals, to help people know, and that there is hope in the darkness. You just gotta keep going to your place of light. If it's the long night, you've got hands to hold. We hold it until the light comes.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Speaking my language. Definitely speaking my language. I think it's a great mission because Mission 22, and I knew a little bit about them, but I never actually met someone that does a lot of work with them like you do. So, after hearing about it, I'm like, that's amazing.
They
so
do.
Great.
They have they're moving mountains. They're really, really working hard at making, there are objectives to get a certain amount of veterans into care, to get them to get to that point, because getting to the point of accepting help, sometimes when you're so disconnected can be a challenge, and there's a mission to get the word out and to join certain activities and to hold certain events. Every quarter there are objectives to be met so that the word will just get out and people will know. Sometimes, for a person who's hurting, it is the hardest thing for them to ask for help because they are so caught up in the darkness. So sometimes just picking up the phone and saying, hey, how are you, and not letting somebody brush you off does wonders. As a matter of fact, I remember going into the supermarket the other day, and wherever we go, we would say like good morning or whatever. Caribbean habit. That's how we were brought up.
Right.
And an old lady turned to me and said, thank you. She was speaking to my husband and myself. She said, thank you. You do not know how you saying good morning made my day. She said, you have no idea. People need to know that there are people willing to connect to them and people who are willing to care enough even to just smile at them, say hello. And when you ask, how are you, actually listen to how they are, whether it be good or bad. And you don't need to have an answer. Sometimes people just need to let out the negative so it opens up the space for some positive.
I love that. I love how you articulated that. Because people need to know that they're not alone, right? They need to know that they're not alone and that there's people who care. Right. Because a lot of times what I find out is that people don't think that they're worth saving, or people don't feel like there's another way of life beyond what they're already experiencing.
That's right. That's right. And that is the thing.
With the mission that you're on, that's what you're telling them, that we are here, that we do care, that there is another way.
That's right. And and that you can pick it. I remember, in the Caribbean, sometimes dealing with some of the youths, telling them, look, okay, I understand if you want to commit suicide, but do me one favor. Call me just before you do. I said, I'll meet you wherever you are, no matter the hour of the night. And they took me up on the offer. Sometimes people just need to know that we would step a little bit on the outside to meet them where they are when they cannot make the next step to come over to the other side. They can't make that step to do right. They can't make that step. So they're just going down that dark space. And they just need to know someone will come and grab a hand and start directing them back along the path they ought to go. We can't be so caught up that we forget each other. We should not let another wounded soldier die.
Right.
And that's not just for veterans. That's for our neighbor and our brother and our sister and the cousins we have not spoken to forever and the aunt who lives alone and the grandmother who is struggling. They are soldiers too. Don't let another wounded soldier die.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always been the 22 a day, 22 veterans kill themselves every day. You know what I mean? It's down, I think it's down to like 19 or 20 now, but still, I mean, one is too many, And
that's right. We're looking to get it down to 0.
Right. And it's just because there's no identity anymore. They used to be in the military, now they're not. They used to identify that, now it's not. So, I mean, it just depends.
The thing,
I believe that. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I believe that they're not going to reach out. You know what I mean? So we need to do better about knowing who we keep in contact with. You know what I mean? If you know someone is struggling, just get them to help. Because they're not going to be like, you know what? I need some help. It's kind of like a pride thing. It's like they know the resources that are out there. They know what's available. They're too prideful of taking the steps to say, hey, I do need help. That's where everybody else comes in. Yeah,
and think about it, too. Think about when you have been, if you've ever been seriously in a dark, depressed space, it is as if you can't even find the energy to get out of bed. think about it for a moment. So if you can't even find, it's like to think is too much because it's torture. Imagine you think you would have the energy, the wherewithal, that emotional push, to the mindset push to pick up the phone and call somebody. It is too draining even to think about calling somebody when you are depressed because you are so, it's emotionally draining, battling through the negativity and the depression that just, it's like a heavy blanket on top of you. And so outside of the cry that they've got, then comes the whole mental space that is not in any way accommodating to them to say, let me call somebody. It is a fight. They're already fighting themselves. They're fighting their thoughts. It is expected that you would be good, that you would be okay, that you should be happy, and you're not that. So it's a fight to try to be that. And so when it seems the unhappiness and the darkness and despair takes over, you can't find the energy. You can't find the strength, the inner strength to call somebody, to even pick up your phone. You just want to stay where you're at and just hope that it would all go away, that the anguish would stop. Because remember, depression and trauma and post-traumatic stress and stuff isn't just feeling sad.
Right.
You know, it takes it to a whole different level. So they have several things fighting against them to even make a call to say, hey, I'm having a bad day.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. Holy crap. You should be a speaker.
You think?
I'm just like mesmerized. I'm like, what do I even say to that? Like, it's amazing. So we talk about Mission 22. We talk about, and that just reminds me, like, what kind of resources are out there? You know, you talked about Red Cross, you talked about Mission 22, you talked about your website. Like, what kind of resources are out there for people who are experiencing anxiety, stress, depression? They're living life at a low level. Like, what do they do? Where do they turn?
There's always the international suicide hotline that persons can always pick up the phone and call. And one of the things I always say for persons who are feeling depressed, you've got to find your resource. There's usually a person who would be, that you can open up to. The thing is, a lot of the time they're scared. So they got to put in place what I call your support system for when disaster strikes. It's like when it's like when there's a hurricane or something coming, there are systems and they are in place where a county or state will garner before the disaster strikes. And so that's what needs to happen for persons who are suicidal. So you can have your go-to person who says, look, pre-program their phone number on 1 so that when you press that one and hold and just let your thumb rest down on it, that it would ring on their end. And so, you can do that. There's a suicidal hotline. And if persons, who maybe might want to read or stuff like that, there are resources like, a Journey Toward Health and Hope handbook for recovery after a suicide attempt, or you can use it before a suicide attempt. I found that it was really good as well. And get involved in a support. Now, there are support groups and there are support groups. Some group I find tend to harness too much of the negative. They harp a lot on the negative. You want groups that could understand, yes, where you're at, that will let you be who you are. So you got to look for your resources in your area, and you got to reach out to them. You got to have a person, like I said, people, if it's a one, there are some people, the moment if they're growing up, if they start, my number show up, they answer immediately, especially weird hour. So in a way, you're basically creating your safety net, so to speak. If this is making any sense at all to you. Making sense, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just mesmerized by, like, because when I was talking to you over at New Media Summit, we were connecting. I'm like, yeah, let's go. But I didn't know we were like this deep. Like,
this is my life. Suicide, depression, trauma, hope. Yeah.
I'm used to being like pretty smart about things, and I'm used to being, like not the smartest guy in the room, but I mean, like one of the top. Like I think I've met my match. You know what I mean? I'm used to holding really great conversations, but I ask a question, I'm like, well, you answered it.
Well, I will take that compliment. You are so kind.
So there's so many people I know that need help, and there's so many places that need help. I don't even know where to begin about that, right? So take us through who's your ideal audience? How do you help them? Where would they reach out?
Well, persons can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I put myself out there so that I'm accessible. There's always my website that they can just send their email and a short message if they would like to. So that's how they can contact me. You can always point them in the direction if they contact you to find out where I'm at. So you can always get me at www.belkisclarke.com. You can contact me there. You can find me Belkis Clarke or if you see Belkis Clarke-Mitcham on Facebook. You've got me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Pinterest. I'm there. So I'm there for you. In terms of who I deal with individuals. If you have been hurt, now I got a couple of, I break down my categories a little bit. Let's first start with the survivors of sexual abuse. They can, I know how we hide because we live under the shame, and then there's the victim shame, people making us feel even more horrible for the experience. So I deal with the survivors to help them go from just surviving to thriving, to find a purpose and value, and to understand where their truth lies and how they can reconstruct their lives after an experience. And sometimes that will include rape victims as well. And then there are those who have just experienced other types of trauma, from domestic violence to maybe they're just living with some hurt and some bitterness. I deal with those. And what I do is I teach persons basically where your truth is, who you are in your truth, how to discover that truth, what your purpose is, so that you can move along your purpose. Because we got lots of skills, but purpose is a whole different thing. And value, self-value. Because the truth is we are going nowhere if we don't even begin to see any value in ourselves. We will repeat our cycles. So I deal with persons who are hurt, persons who feel broken, persons who feel trapped, like they cannot move. They feel imprisoned by behaviors and attitudes. They keep making the same mistake. So these are my ideal persons for working. Persons who are sick and tired and fed up of the brokenness, of doing the same thing over and over, of being misused in life, and then looking to just break that cycle and move forward into something more positive, into a sphere that is more true and innate to them. People who are scared. I love those who are scared of taking a chance on themselves. They know they're unhappy. They know something isn't working right. They find every other excuse. So I said, come, let's work it out. So in the realm of trauma, these are the individuals that are the hurting, the broken, those who feel ain't got no hope, have lost sight of purpose, or never knew their purpose. These are the people that I work with. And then sometimes I work with entrepreneurs as well, because if you don't know your truth, if you don't know your purpose, and if you don't know your value, where would you be leading the people if you ain't got no vision? What truth are you trying to sell them if you don't know your truth? And you're going to be offering something that seems valuable, but you ain't quite sure, simply because you don't know your own value. So I help them find their authentic voices as entrepreneurs. That's what I do.
I love it. You're on a mission.
We got a revolution.
I meet people that need that, though. I meet people all the time. The listeners on, the listeners of this show experience some of these things, and they come to this show because they want to listen to those stories of transformation, and they know somebody who is absolutely dealing with this right now. And so the show has become therapy for somebody to let them know that they're not alone and that they can do this and that they are enough. If anything resonates with anybody on this show, that they are enough. So to the listeners out there listening, if you have any questions for myself or for Belkis, call 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. My team is standing by to field any phone calls that you may have or questions that you may have. So shifting gears, okay, shifting gears a little bit, can you speak to, because I don't believe that everything happens overnight. I mean, it's like a 10-year overnight success, right? But we can't do these things alone. So who has been your biggest influencer so far?
Oh, wow. Are we talking personal or someone who has been out there, who's out there doing their thing?
It could be either one. I mean, it could be like, I watch Gary Vaynerchuk, or Tony Robbins, or maybe there's influencers that we don't know about. So just whatever you feel.
Wow. Let's see. Well, I'm going to tell you two things. Firstly, I remember almost 20 years ago coming upon the book Yesterday I Cried by Iyanla. And all these years later, I see this lady everywhere because her book, what she wrote was it just reached out to me. I connected, it resonated. And I didn't quite grasp everything about it. And so now I realize, but look at where this lady is today, And it was like, similar story. It resonated. So I love the work that she does. She have, Fixed My Life and all that kind of stuff. And I really love the work that she does. But when you're talking about people who have championed me, there have been some quiet ones. I have a cousin who is in the U.S. Army, but I'm back home. When we were back home, I was a teenager, depressed, suicidal, hiding away from everybody, and he reached out to me, and he kept reaching out and reaching out and reaching out, and he was always there, and he taught me that there are human beings who can care and be consistent in their love and in their care, and for a depressed, suicidal teen, that became just absolutely awesome. So he has always been one of my go-to persons. And my mom is a gem. My mom, I have seen this lady grow. She is my champion of champions. She doesn't speak motherly love. She lives it every day. She prays me through situations. She supports. I can call and vent and let things out, and she's always there. The last time when I wanted to quit this whole business, can you imagine that? She called me at some... as in shopping, I don't pretend with anybody. I tell people it gets tough sometimes, and there are times you go like, is it worth it? Am I getting through to them? And you want to walk away, but when your purpose has found you, it's kind of hard to just walk away from that, not if you're standing in your truth. And so she called me, and she said, I'm not telling you this as your mother. She said, I'm telling you this as an individual who sees what you do and see the impact you have. She said, in our family, you've got a pioneer gift. She said, you go in where no one else goes. You do. She said, and so those who have gone before you look up to you, and those who are coming behind you are looking up to you. She said, and I'm not just saying this. This is based on the conversations we have. This is what I know. She says, so as a pioneer, you've got a duty and an obligation to go out and clear the way, because some of us can't do what you're doing for others. Things like these are what have fed me over the years and kept me focused and motivated. That's why I could talk about the significance of a support group. Those individuals have rallied behind me year in, year out, through the ups and downs and everything, My cousin was telling me, he said, I'm just going to open an account and you can put my share in there. He said, So I really have admired the work of Iyanla, and those two though. And when you think about, but most of all, my faith, oh my goodness, I don't know about people who tell me that they don't know, what to believe, but my faith in God has been my sustenance.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen the God that I heard my mother talk about, that my grandmother made me go to church to learn about, prove himself so real in so many ways in my life, that for me it has been just, it's like I can't do all of it without God. Those have been that's been my support.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel exactly the same way. Absolutely. I had a moment of clarity back in 2014 where I just surrendered everything. I was like, you know what? I've been fighting God all these years. I'm just like, I'm done. Like, whatever it is that you have, it's like, just do it, And my life has been so much different. And the transformation that I went through is what prompted me to do the show. Like, he spoke to me and was like, you need to do this show. So that's why I decided to do the show back in 2016. They were like, he says, you need to do this show. And I had it in my heart. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, So I'd like to know what the influence is, because somebody will say somebody, I'm like, oh, I don't know about them. And then I get turned on to them. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, more people need to know about this person. And we come from everywhere, and sometimes, like you said, it's the mom, it's not always what I really want them to know is it's not always the influence that we think about, like, the Grant Cardones and Tony Robbins and Gary V's of the world, who were household names, but it's the people that are in our life, in our immediate circle, that sometimes makes the most difference.
That's right. That is so
you never know. You never know who is around you. You never know who's in your area, and you never know who you're going to meet. I didn't think I'd ever meet you over at the New Media Summit, and here we are. We're on our show together.
Yeah, and that's what I've told people. Let me tell you a quick story about the awesomeness of the transformation that has gone into my life since that night sitting outside. And I'm going to make this real quick. I met a gentleman actually had sent me a friend request, and I was very hesitant at that point about accepting anybody into my space because I was hurting. But for some reason, I just felt drawn, and I accepted the request. That gentleman that I accepted his request years ago was the individual who turned to me and said, you deserve a chance. I was broken and divorced, living on a tiny island in the Caribbean, a Dutch island, where they were like, I am the outsider. My husband was at home. And when you felt crushed and broken, they crush you and they just keep grinding you down to dust with the gossip and the maliciousness. I would be walking home in the rain and no one would give me a ride, even if, struggling with my bags, even if they're going in the same direction. So there I was in a strange land, no family, no friends, and just about on the brink of divorce for a relationship that I have moved from my home country to go there to make for my marriage, left alone. And I got up and I said I always wanted to go back to school. That was 11 years after I had done some post-high school studies. 11 years later, I said, look, I'm going to apply. And I said, God, I'm just doing it. I felt the need. I felt a drive. I was doing it to escape, actually, and I did not have any money. Hear me, not 1 cent was saved in the bank. And I applied to the school and they sent back and said I was accepted. If I could start the September, I was like, what? I was like, I ain't got no money. I said, so I called and asked, can I defer to the January? I don't know how between August and January I expected to get tuition and the ticket and housing, but I was putting this before God. And for I remember in the past there were times I was ready to go to school and it seemed like everything would work out. And the scripture came, many are the plans of a man's heart, but it is God's will that prevails. And all the doors kept closing for 11 years. And then this door opened up in Trinidad. And I still had no money. And I asked, it was an uncle who bought my ticket to go. And then they were like, well, you will stay on the dorm, you get discount, and stuff like that. You could be fed, and you got, meal plans, the whole work. And this gentleman, when he heard that I was planning to go, but I had no money, he's like, how are you going to pay for it? I said, God finally said to go. I said, and something feels right, and it's aligning, so I am going. He said, he was a businessman. He said to me, you deserve a chance. He said, you've got something special going on about you. You deserve a chance. He paid for 4 years of college tuition, insurance, books, food, housing, covered it all. And when I asked, what do I owe you? He said, pay it forward.
And
then so when I graduated top of my class, and so they offered me a second degree, which is how I got my master's, fully paid by the university.
Heck yeah.
2 degrees. And that's why
awesome.
I tell people. That's why I tell people I see God show up real. And I say when you find purpose and you don't waste your opportunities and you don't, even when you're scared, you still try, because it is better to have tried than to just not do anything at all. You cannot die with everything you've got in you, wrapped up in you. It is of no benefit to you. And fear is not stronger than the awesomeness that has been branded into your DNA. Give it a go. And we don't have to be famous like the Kardashians, but we can make an impact with the single person that we meet every day, with our kids, with our relatives, with the co-workers, if we just align ourselves with that thing that burns within us to do. Try.
Got it. I oh my gosh. Fire right now. Fire.
Yeah.
Because
a young lady.
so Eric Thomas talks about that a lot. That's his thing. Like, you cannot go, and even Les Brown, the graveyard is the wealthiest place on the planet because people's ideas
about that. Yeah.
Right? Their ideas are in the graveyard. Extraordinary ideas that they never invented are in the graveyard.
Although I wish I would have and I should have. Those need to be eliminated. A young lady told me that she's afraid of failure. She told me that a couple of days ago. And I said to her, you're not afraid of failure. She said, and I'm bold enough to tell you that's not your fear. She said, so then what is my fear? I said, that's for you to find out. But if you were afraid of failure, I said, then you would be doing something. I said, because you are not doing anything. So you're already failing by not doing anything. So that's not your fear, because if you were afraid of failing, you would get to doing something. And you don't fail when you take action. You do not fail when you try. You fail when you do not do anything. I said, so if it was a fear of failure, you would be doing something.
Right.
You're not afraid. You're sitting there doing nothing. And doing nothing to me is failing.
Yep, absolutely. So as we start to close the show, what do you, where are you headed now? Like, what kind of new adventures, businesses, family? What does the rest of 2018 look like for you, and where are you headed in 2019?
Oh my goodness. Can we say revolution? That's what 2019 looks like. I am hoping for 2019 to create a revolution in individual lives. That's what I'm hoping. I've got programs that are coming on stream just for 2019, geared toward the whole transformational process of the individual and of entrepreneurs. So that is what 2019 looks like for me. I mean, when it comes to loving yourself and what you need to do for purpose and finding truth and moving into that and overcoming fear and really conquering the negative mindset and all of that, and helping people move from their trauma. That's 2019. In 2018, well, this weekend I'm headed to Chicago to speak to a group of entrepreneurs in Chicago. So there is that's happening, and then the year. Well, hopefully, unless somebody decides to throw something else in there. It's been a very hectic year, so I intended to take the latter part of the year, actually, to get things in place for 2019 so we hit the ground running. But I've got a couple of Mission 22 events to attend. On the 28th, we're in San Antonio, and then the Saturday after that, it is, I'm forgetting where is the next one, but yeah. But so there are a couple of volunteer stuff, but yeah, that's what 2018 looks. The rest of the year looks like for me.
I think I have a friend of mine. If I remember right, I think she's in San Antonio. I think she does work with Mission 22, but her name is Natalie Lopez. She's an artist, and I think she does a lot of work with
Mission 22 as well.
Yeah,
if that's the
I
case,
think she
then I'll
does.
probably be meeting her up when I go there, because this will be my first event to San Antonio with Mission 22. So chances are we will definitely be meeting up.
Very cool.
There, yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we close the show, we do a shameless plug. You can plug your friends, quotes, websites, Facebook, your products, movies, your websites, give a shout out, whatever it is. This is your moment to shamelessly plug. Go.
I have, there's my coaching program. If you're looking for long-term help, that you can always definitely jump in on. I've got a program also to help you discover the real you and love that you, called No Apologies. I make no apologies for myself. You might want to check me out on that. And then I've got a couple of freebies there for you as well. 7-series video on how to unleash your light. And there's another one coming up, should be for entrepreneurs in a couple of days, on how it's called the magic of momentum, how to keep your momentum and motivation going as an entrepreneur. So that's where you're at. I have help. Contact me for persons who are struggling with their spirituality and looking for something that is more connected, more God, more real, rather than just the surface talk. So lots of transformational programs, a couple of courses. You just got to hit me up on my website, and I'd be more. I have From Broken to Beautiful series, which is an entire course that I offer, how you go from the hurt, the anger, the pain, etc., to your beautiful place where your beauty and your peace exist. So check me out: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Belkis Clarke or Belkis Clarke-Mitcham. You're going to find me there. I'm looking forward to connect with you guys.
Boom. Love it. So, as we wrap up and close, can you deliver your best nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action today?
You deserve to have your moment in your type of spotlight, not anybody else's. You deserve your moment to heal. You deserve your moment for restoration. You deserve your moment for progress. You deserve your moment of peace. You deserve to go from the hurt to your harmony, from your pains to living in your passions, from your trials to your triumphs. You are deserving of that. Whatever you have been through, the naysayers, the negative have no hold over you except that which you give them. So it is in you. Everything that you need to be successful is already in you. Unleash it.
Love it. Oh my gosh, you are amazing. You are absolutely incredible.
You flatter me.
So this has been an amazing conversation. So much power. I was like getting shivers and chills halfway through the show. I cannot thank you enough for the work that you were doing for the sexual assault survivors, suicide survivors, the trauma that they've endured, and just your mission to change lives. I'm just absolutely in awe of you. So thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Definitely has been my pleasure, and I appreciate you sharing your space, and it is moments like these that helps to spread the word so persons can know where they can find their hope.
Absolutely. Yep. So, Life Transformation Radio listeners, another amazing guest impacting the world around here. If anything resonated with you today, please reach out to her. Go to www.belkis, Belkis, Clarke, Clarke. You can go to belkisklarke.com. You can reach out to her on Facebook, LinkedIn, like all the social media channels. Reach out to her, send her a message. You can also subscribe to the show, rate and review it, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, and the Google Play Music app. Please reach out to her. She's doing amazing, amazing things in the world, and she needs our help. The people that suffer these fates need our help, and we all could do something to make it possible. So as we close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, have a great night.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.